Hi guys, welcome back to Waxing On. It's Monday, and that's usually our jazz day. Today we're looking at another Canadian crooner. We have already profiled Michael Bublé a while ago, and there was another fellow that came on the scene that I became aware of about the same time I became aware of Michael Bublé. They were both singing, standards, the big band style, the crooner style, but this fellow, I don't feel he got as much attention as Bublé got. Now, part of that could have been because Bublé had David Foster running the machines behind him, and that provided different opportunities. But our artist today had a lot of talent, put out quite a few albums, and has some award-winning and multi-platinum and gold albums. And we're looking at Toronto singer, songwriter, Matt Dusk. And I've got a couple of CDs of his that I picked up early on in his career. He'd released some independent or recorded some independent albums, but these are the first couple studio albums. And they're recorded on Decca Records, which I don't know if many of you remember that. That seems like a name that comes back to me from the past. I haven't heard of Decca in ages. But these were Decca albums. First one, Matt Dusk, Two Shots. Major hit off this album was Two Shots, a song written by Bono and The Edge from U2. The song, I guess the full title is Two Shots of Happy, One Shot of Sad. But in this, he's done some original tunes, some standards, and then again this more current tune with Bono and The Edge. Give you some idea of what's on here. We've got Two Shots of Happy, One Shot of Sad, A Miracle, Cold as Ice, Lonely Road, the theme from Loaded Gun, Don't Go Looking, Fly Me to the Moon, Please, Please Me, Precious Years, Always, Every Mother's Son, and Five. Now, some of the album was recorded in Toronto, some of it in London, and he's backed up by the Toronto Symphony Orchestra, the London Philharmonic Orchestra, and London Session Orchestra. So a lot of players involved in the album. And again, it's a real mix of tunes. And that one was Two Shots. Now, followed that one up, went to Los Angeles and recorded another album, and this was maybe one of my more favorites only because of the session players that were in on the gig. Now this one, unique because we've got arrangers, Patrick Wilson, Sammy Nestico. These guys are two legends of music and certainly in the LA area, and some excellent session players playing along behind him. First two albums he had Philharmonic and Toronto Symphony. This one's a little different. We've got the LA string and horn section. Now, if you've been following any of the shows for a while, you know I often profile the background players in some of these recordings, and you'll see some of the same names show up on this one. And again, these are top-notch studio musicians he's using. I'm going to just cover the woodwinds, trumpets, trombones, because that's my area of interest usually. But I'll tell you who's on here now. Saxophone and flute, we got Dan Higgins, we got Gary Foster, Pete Chrislieb, tenor saxophone Steve McDonald, and on trumpet, Wayne Bergeron. Now, we've heard about him a few times with session jobs, plus lead trumpet player with Gordon Goodwood's Big Fat Band. We also have on here, where I left off, Bergeron, Warren Lewin, another excellent session player. Used to play with Rick Baptist on Dancing with the Stars. Done a lot of albums, played in albums with Barbra Streisand. He was a trumpet player in Los Angeles, as well as the next good fellows, Gary Grant, who's played on so many albums and so many soundtracks, and Larry Hall. Trombone, we've got Charlie Lauper, Chesty Welch, and Andy Martin. And you may recognize Andy Martin's name because he also is an alumni of the Big Fat Band. And let's see, we've got French horn, Steve Beckwell, Don Keeley, and Paul Kentworth. Now, this album, again, has more of that big band sound, but again, we've got two excellent arrangers, Patrick Williams and Sammy Nestico in there. Patrick Williams, you may remember back in the 70s, had a lot of work doing TV soundtrack work, a lot of stuff with the Mary Tyler Moore Network, like Mary Tyler Moore, Bob Newhart, those kind of shows. Now, I'll give you some idea of what we have for songs on here. And again, it's a kind of a mix of originals, but a lot of classics. We've got Back in Town, All About Me, The Best Is Yet to Come. More, As Time Goes By, that classic. Learning the Blues, A Million Kisses Late. Where Were You When? Get Me to the Church on Time. Well, I laugh at that one because, I mean, that's, you know what that is. Who's Got the Action? I mean, there's a great tune. If you remember back in our episode featuring Dean Martin, I had an album that he had, and that was one of the songs on it. And I'll tell you, Dean Martin's version was excellent, but Matt Dusk is right up there with him. And On the Street Where You Live, April Moon. Matt Dusk, another Toronto boy, raised and born in Toronto, making it big. Now, again, similar in style to Bublé, the other Canadian crooner, but I think very different in their delivery, in their choice of tunes, in the arrangements, in their whole presentation. So I don't think he's maybe as well known, but he's certainly worth checking out. Albums are on streaming network. You can find it on YouTube with videos as well. These are just a couple of his earlier albums. And again, it was Two Shots was, I think, the first studio album, followed up by Back in Town, both on Decca Records. I mean, it's excellent stuff. I was just listening to it again this morning before we got ready to tape the show. And it's good music. It's fun music. It's a great band. A great guy to check out. If you haven't heard of him, you'll be pleasantly surprised. If you do know who I'm talking about, a great chance to go back and revisit some of those early albums. That's it for today. Matt Dusk on Waxing On Jazz. We'll see you on Wednesday when we're looking at classic rock. Until then, everybody, take care, stay safe. Thanks for stopping by.